Everyone, I'm going to show you an awesome new Claude Code Databricks app builder template, where effectively you can just use Claude Code and natural language to build your own Databricks app. This is a workflow that we've built that is completely guided. So you basically just need to talk to Claude about what you want to build, and it will do the rest for you. Okay, so what we're going to build is an app that will read from MLflow traces. And these are some traces that came from an agent. Traces are just inputs and outputs and all the stuff that happened in between. Won't go into that, and just summarize them with an LLM. Okay, so that's the setup. We're gonna make a nice UI around that, very custom to our business. So what we're gonna do is follow these steps here. The first step is just to go up here and click use this template. And I'm gonna choose a repository name, just trace summary dashboard, okay? So that's our setup, pretty simple. This just should take a couple seconds here. And then once we're done, all we're gonna do is click this clone, copy this here, go to an iTerm and git clone it. That's it. All right, and then we're gonna open this in VS Code. So I'm just gonna open the folder to the place where I just cloned it, and that's this guy here. All right. I'm gonna close this guy out, full screen this, get rid of this. I'm going to preview the README here so we can get back. And then I'm gonna click this terminal button, and then I'm gonna start up Claude. Dangerously skip permissions. This is YOLO mode. Use that at your own will to open Claude. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Claude Code, please go check that out. It's amazing. I'm going to switch the model to Opus because Sonnet has been having issues today. Okay, so I'm going to type /DBA, and that is the magical command that you'll use to set up this workflow. And what DBA will do is it'll just walk you through this entire journey of building this app. So the first thing it's going to do is just going to check on your get access, what your username is, so on and so forth. Now, while it's going and setting things up, what I'm going to go do is figure out which workspace I want to deploy this app in. And this is the workspace I'll be using for this demo here. So this one, just copy pasting that. I'll explain this in a minute. Okay. Now, let's check out what Claude is doing over here. Cool. So it will walk us through this journey step by step and tell you what to do. So if I'm not here, you can do it on your own. It will open this terminal window to set up your authentication. And we do this in a terminal window just so that Claude doesn't see the access tokens. So everything will stay local. I'm going to use the PAT method, the personal access token method. It will ask me for my Databricks host, which is this one I just showed you before. And it will ask us for a personal access token now. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to copy my personal access token, and I'm going to paste it in here. It will check on everything for me here. And I'm going to name my app trace summary dashboard. This is for the Databricks app. And then it'll ask us for a source code for deployment. So after that, it will just start setting things up. And it's done very quickly. You just press enter to finish. So now we go back to Claude, and we just tell them that we're done. OK. So that's it. It will check on the status of the app and things like that. Now, to make this a little faster, what I already did was I made an app. If you go to compute and then apps and then go to this page, I made an empty app here, trace summary dashboard. This takes 2 to 3 minutes, and I didn't want that in the video, but it will build that for you and set it up if you don't have it already. Okay. So what it's going to first do is just make sure that this local app will work as is without breaking, and things just kind of work out. So it will do this type of self-checking all over the place. So that's a really nice property of this setup here. Okay, so it's just checking that things are installed properly and working great. Okay, cool. So the app is working locally. That's fine. And it's just checking itself. That's okay. So it will just do that little test, check itself. Looks like things are going to work. No version conflicts or things like that. It will then go ahead and just deploy a very basic template app, which is what we have in this repo today. Not exactly what you're building yet, of course, just to verify that you can deploy an app. There's you have the permissions and so on and so forth. Okay, so while it's doing that, what we're going to go back and do is check out this dashboard. And pretty soon what will happen is it will start uploading all the source code, and you'll start seeing this populate. While it's doing that, I just want to point you towards one important thing on this page. All of this Claude already knows about. This one Claude also knows about, but I purposely didn't let Claude grant permissions to other resources. So if you have a permissions issue, you might have to go and add this service principal to other things in Databricks. But I didn't want Claude to go and change permissions through the workspace. Okay, so let's check out what's going on here. It looks like we are still deploying source code. Okay, great. So it looks like it's installing and updating and pushing things to Databricks. Amazing. And let's just let that go ahead and finish. Okay. All righty. Looks like we have an app, and let's open that in a new tab. And amazing. We have the template working. If you want to read through this on your own, you should. These are a bunch of interesting tricks and project structure and all sorts of things that are specific to this template. Okay, so that works. Now let's come back and see what's going on with Claude here. It's sleeping. Okay, so it's good. So it's just sleeping to wait a little bit. The app is working. Continue. And it will just sleep and just check and sleep and check, and we don't want to wait the 60 seconds for this video. Okay, so the next thing that's going to happen is it's just going to verify on its own that it succeeded with this app status script. This is a super useful script that will just figure out what the URL is, figure out what the logs are, so on and so forth. All right, let that finish. Okay, so now we're on step 2, product requirements. So now all I want to do is just talk to Claude a little bit about the idea. So we're going to load traces from an MLflow experiment with ID. And where was that experiment? This is the ID. ID this, showing the last n traces, and then calling a foundational model API with model serving. And we're going to use Claude Sonnet 4 here. And so you can do this by clicking serving and going to the endpoints to find an endpoint that's in your workspace. Endpoint to summarize the themes of those n traces. Okay, so that's all you really have to do. Just talk like this to Claude. And this setup will just clarify things, ask you, what do you mean by this? It will ideate with you, which is really nice, without kind of you having to do it. Now, while it's doing that, I want to show you what's going to happen. So there's this docs folder here. And if I go into the docs folder, there's this thing called product. And product is just your PRD, your product requirements doc. It's empty for now. Okay, so it's going to ask us first for some clarifying questions. And now I'm going to switch to what I really love, which is Whisper. So Whisper is this app that will transcribe your voice, and it will just put it right into the keyboard. So you can talk to Claude. So go check that out. I just pressed this one button to do it. So if you hear me talking, that's why. One sec. Google Meet. Stay in the call, please. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use Whisper. N should be configurable with an input field. That's fine. Yes, traces should be sorted by timestamp, the most recent ones. You just show me whatever on the traces. Okay, so now on 2 and user interaction and filtering, you choose. Okay, and then 3, summarization features, just common themes, maybe some errors, which tools were called. You don't have to cache it, just do it once. No, not compare, just keep it simple. And no, I'm not going to even bother with the rest of them. Just don't worry about it. Just given that, come up with something reasonable. Okay, see, all of the things I just said are now typed, and I just press enter. All right, so given these responses, it will potentially ask me more clarifying questions or just start writing this product requirements doc. Now, I like this setup here with these markdown files because they get checked in and they get remembered. And I'll explain that in a second. Okay, so it's asking me a couple, this is what it's going to build. I'm not going to read all this for right now. That seems fine. Seems fine. Just remember to keep it nice and simple. You don't need all of this fancy stuff with error handling and defaults. Just I want a simple page for now. Okay, cool. Yes, go ahead and create the PRD. Okay, so what I was saying. So I really like these markdown files. So I have informed Claude basically to write these, and these get checked in. And the reason I do this is twofold. One, it's great documentation, and two, Claude tends to forget things all the time. So it's a good thing for it to go and refer back to what we meant when we were designing the product. Otherwise, it will just get lost and forget that it's history. So I like to check these in, and you can always tell it to go refer to that. Okay. Amazing. Now, the next step, this is the full PRD, which you can go and read. There's a lot of stuff here. The next step will be to actually figure out how we're going to technically design this thing. Okay, so it's given us some thoughts here. Nope, you can just access the MLflow experiment directly. The experiment is in this workspace. Not sure. You might have to try querying it yourself on number 2 for the model endpoint to just figure out what it is. Yeah, don't worry about rate limiting, just send them all. UI preferences, make it look really nice. It should feel amazing. The summary should appear above the trace host. That seems fine. Yeah, max out at 10 or something. And then, sure, show loading indicator. Returning. Okay, so it's just like the PRD here. It's going to go write this design doc here, and I'm just going to preview this here. This is not filled out quite yet because we're working on it. And let's check this out. That all seems fine. I'm not going to care about this too much. Fine, sure, go ahead. Sure, go ahead. Just, yeah, make it look beautiful. That's fine. Just keep it elegant and simple, but, flashy. Claude loves it. Great. All right, it will start writing that down in just a second. All right, let's check this out. It looks fine. MLflow is actually already included. MLflow is already included. You can just drop that one. Yep, seems fine to me. Whatever, I'm gonna vibe code this, let it figure it out. If you wanna be careful, you can go read this through. And yes, go ahead. Let's implement this. It's asking me if should we build it. Now, sometimes I would check this in as is right here, just so that we can commit things and so on and so forth. But right now, let's just let it do its thing. Okay, so what it's gonna first do is start the dev server in the background automatically for you. And it should, in a second, open a Chrome browser. And I'll show you that in 2 seconds. I didn't decide to do it today. Open Playwright so I can watch you. So Playwright is this browser automation tool that's baked in. There's some details of this if you don't have it installed, but it will allow Claude to open Playwright and verify its own work as we're building things. Now, it will do this later if I hadn't said this, but I want to just show you now so we can talk about this as it's building. So this is the local server. Claude's going to stay on the right over here. This is just the template for now. And this is, again, these things that we already showed you before. Feel free to read them. But what I like to do is keep this open. And because the server is built in such a way that it has fast edit refresh, meaning you touch code, this will just automatically change. You can just watch Claude do its work, which I think is just very cool. And I'm vibe coding this entirely, so I'm not even going to care really about the code. Let it go figure it out. Okay, it's building some services. All right, should be including that endpoint now. And we've told Claude that it should always verify the endpoints by just curling them directly. And this is super important because every time it does anything, it will just try to make a request and just make sure that that's actually working. And sometimes these things will make mistakes. So you can see that it can fix something and then call it, read the output and then fix it, which is very nice. And so that's actually just what just happened here. It used the wrong thing here. Okay, so it says no traces found in the experiment, and maybe I gave it the wrong experiment ID here. Did I give it the wrong experiment ID? Experiment ID should be okay. See, now I've also told it that if it runs into things like this, it should first make sure that we run these scripts directly just to make sure things are working. Oh, sometimes it's connecting to the wrong workspace. That's okay because this is set locally. I have some things upstream. And it made a little Python error. That's okay. It's going to fix this to use the tracking RITV Databricks. That's okay too. And I'm leaving this in so you can see that it totally can self-heal. So now look, it found the experiment, figured out what was going on. Aha, it needs to use this API, not that API. Great. And that's because we gave Claude a way to verify its own work. Again, all of this stuff is baked in to this template here. Okay. So now it figured out what its problem was, again, because it wrote this test script for itself to figure out what is going on. It's okay, sometimes that happens. Okay, so it's done something for us. Let's see. Still thinks there's no traces in the experiment, but we had that stuff from earlier, so it should be okay. Let's see if we can let it figure itself out. This is where we sit back and enjoy life. Again, figured out how to use test search traces. It found the traces. The column names are different. It figured out its own APIs for us. Cool. So again, it ran some scripts to understand the structure of the response. Now we will go update the actual fast API server. Okay, let's see if this endpoint still says no traces found in the experiment. Ah, of course, timestamp MS, not request time. There we go. Found the traces. Now you see the power of self-verification. Let it go figure it out. And it'll clean its own scripts up. Okay, so now we have an endpoint that seems to summarize for us. It will read the traces for us. So like we're basically halfway done with the implementation, which is amazing. And let's see it go build the UI. Now, of course, nothing has changed here because we've just built backend code so far. It looks like it's about to replace the welcome page with a trace summary page, and we will be off to the races. I'm just going to sit back once again and let Claude do its thing. You can watch. Now, it's going to probably generate this whole thing in a single shot, so that's why it's taking a little bit of time. But we will just wait, and honestly, we're pretty close to actually having this app working, most likely. All right. Made our summary page. Let's see it swap it out in the moment of truth. Oh, we got an error. Okay, that's okay. Let Claude figure it out. And so what's happening is it can actually look at this UI here and it can read this whole error. And so you see that there's a syntax error with this thing. Quotes are conflicting. I don't have to do anything because it can read it and check its own work. So let it go do that. Wow, look at this. We have a beautiful trace summary dashboard. And there's some issue still, so I'm going to let it keep cooking on this. That's fine. Remove that. Who cares? Just get it working. Okay, tried to do too much in one shot, so why don't we simplify this? That sounds good. Now you see how little interaction I've done? I've basically not done anything except for narrate this because we have all of these checks in place. Okay. Great. Let's take, it's now going to screenshot itself to make sure everything seems right, and we can click that button for us. I didn't click that button. And now it's going to analyze. Ooh, this is kind of an ugly color here. But look at this. It's given us some analytics here, and that's awesome. Now, I wanted a report in English, so it's not exactly this. So I'm going to go and tell it that that background color for the first thing is pretty ugly, and you didn't actually give us a text summary of the things. I wanted a text, nice markdown rendered, beautiful text summary at the very top. Looks like we were calling it with the wrong format. That's okay. Fix that ugly background. Let's let it do it now. Oh, it looks like it did have it. It's just too far down the page. Okay, let's see what happens. I'll click. So it loaded the page. Let's click that summarize button. Again, I'm just narrating here. Let it figure it out. Okay, so how come we still don't have a text description? That's kind of funny. Oh yeah, there we go. Endpoint is still failing. With guardrail, message input or prompt must be specified. Yeah, just called it the wrong thing. I do not need to read the docs. Instead of reading the docs, why don't you just try calling the serving endpoint stack query directly in your own test script just to make sure that that works. So all I did was just tell it to just why don't you call that and figure it out, and just play with it until it works, instead of going and reading docs and waiting and blah blah blah. Cool. Hmm. Okay, maybe we should have let it read the docs. Let's see. Okay, maybe it's actually the Databricks SDK being funky. Oh, looks like it's working. If you just call it with REST. It's having capacity issues. Okay, so what we're gonna do is not use that endpoint. So I'm gonna go here back to serving, and how about let's see, let's find a llama. Let's use this one for now. It's okay. I know llama isn't as great instead. But for now, because I think we're being rate limited, Claude is overloaded in our workspace. That's okay. Let it use llama. Okay. So hopefully this one should be okay now. Let's see if this endpoint works. Okay, I'm gonna help it out a little bit. Why don't you try the request approach for llama? Now, I think what it's done is it's just given itself the ability to like parse different parts of the response and have better failure. So it can print itself. Let's just tell it to use the request approach. Now, I'm going to keep all this in because this is a standard part of the debugging process. Might have to help it out when things like this happen. Okay, let's see if the REST approach works. Okay, amazing. So let's just do it. Yeah, it works. Okay. We hit the compacting. That's okay. Okay, so while it compacts our conversation, this is something that happens when the context gets too long in Claude. Let's just show you a couple other things here. So what I've also done is I put a bunch of Databricks documentation that I've told Claude to go write in these 4 or 5 files here. And this basically allows Claude, as it writes code, to have access to some of these APIs without having to search the internet. I find this to be a little faster than it having to do that. You might want to think about doing something like that. I still ideally link to those. Maybe it didn't decide to. Yeah, it still links to the API reference so that I can go read them elsewhere. I find that this works quite nicely. So that's something else. And yeah, there's also a Claude memory file here, which is these are just all of the setup commands. You might want to tweak this for your own or whatever setup that you have. This is just a super useful way of guiding Claude to do what you want. Okay, so sorry about this. This is going to compact our conversation back here. But you can tell we've already gotten pretty far here. Okay, so it's done. So let it finish. I know it's still running. It's still running. Make the change. Okay. All right, let's see if this works. I still don't see a summary. What's going on here? Still an issue. There we go. Oh, you know what? It's because we're doing this. Sorry, this is taking a little longer, but now towards the end, you're seeing the true debugging process that you have to go through. Hope this is still useful. Moment of truth. There we go. Now that looks pretty nice. Now it's markdown, so hopefully Claude will figure it out. If not, we need to render the markdown. Use a markdown renderer. And this will be the final thing that we do. Okay, so it added this markdown library. That's great. Let it go read the page and edit it, and then we should be good to go. And let it fix this. All righty. All right, we're in business now. You know, this isn't the most beautiful thing in the world, but you can go and clean this up on your own. Looks like we actually have something nice going on here. It explains there's tools related to Databricks and MLflow. It's exactly what we're doing. Amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna just deploy this app. It's good enough. The app. It's good enough so you can see the full end-to-end workflow. We can always see these traces here. This is kind of cool already. Now, obviously, MLflow has a better version of this, but you get the power of this. Okay, so I'm gonna let that deploy. In the meantime, I did explain that we will have to give access to to the, let's see, where is it? With this service principal. So I'm just gonna go and proactively do that for the experiment real quick, because we need to let that service principal read here. So we just do this, and it can read. I don't need to edit anything, so save, and that's it. And I might have to, no, I shouldn't have to do that. Okay, so it's deploying the new app. Let's go check out what's happening over here. Okay, sorry, we had a little bit of a snafu, which I fixed, and I'm upstreaming. There was something going on with the build hanging. Don't worry too much about it. It should be fixed now. So doesn't matter. I deployed the app, and so I just typed deploy here, and it went and did this. So that is totally working now. And basically gives, if we go back here, it uploaded our app, and we get back to this dashboard where I can go and just click summarize. Now, hopefully, if everything is working, this will show us our traces. Now, there could be a problem here because, like, why doesn't that show up? It could be some issue with probably our ability to query that endpoint from this page. That's my guess, and I would just go debug this and finalize it from there. But for now, I'm just going to skip this, but you can see the journey from start to end. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I know this is a long video, but think of it as a live stream. Hope this is useful. Take care.